Permachef, pasión por vestir al chef.
It all began for me 17 years ago. I came to Quintana Roo, to Cancun, and Tulum, and Coba, and Chichen Itza, and did all the sites that we could reach from this area. And it had a lasting effect on me. In fact, on this trip, I couldn't believe that it had been 17 years since I'd been back here. It's a completely different place now. It's all been built up, but the magic is still right there. And the incredible influence that this land has had on my life, the plants that are here, the avocados that grow naturally and wildly here.
Different kinds.
The incredible flora and fauna of this area speaks to me deeply. I must have been a Mayan in a past life. And the Mayan people, Miguel has some Mayan genes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
The Mayan people speak to me still. And I connect with them in a unique way in the world, amongst all peoples in the world. And their connection to earth, to sky, to chocolate, to the complete magical aspects of living and being is something I share.
Well, I'm pretty happy because I know David for a couple of years, and we made a friendship like in 1 second. There's a story about superfoods. The first time he came, it's a really cool story for me because I knew there were no superfoods in Mexico like goji berries, maca, right? And the first time we met was in Tepoztlan. A good friend of ours, Carla Perez, Galicia Perez. And she brought David, and I saw, and I was like, I want to go and take his conference because I've been learning from David for the past at least 10 years, 12 years. I started reading his books, and then I started learning about superfoods and a lot of things that I teach in my own conference, my own class. It's inspired, and I always thank to David Wolfe, to Avocado, all the knowledge and all the books, what he's done for me as a person, right, as a human, for all his knowledge. So I learned a lot, and then finally I got to meet him, and we talked, like I said, we did a friendship. It became like this, and it's like, hey, I'm gonna go to longevity. I've been to different longevities, then we went to some chocolate parties he did, and for me it's like I learned a lot. I mean, it looks like we having a party, and all we do is talk about enzymes, superfoods, things about the Mayans, think about the land, the earth, and that's the subjects that personally I like people, they know me. I always talk about food. I always talk about cacao. I always talk about avocados, coconuts, chia seeds, flax seeds. That's my world. People who actually know me and people who was in my channel, they know that, right? So I'm really happy, especially for this trip, that most of the trip when I see David, it's like he's working a lot. He's in the conference. I'm right there taking the conference. After the conference, we get to hang out, but it's not the same. Here, they came for personal reasons, and we get to hang out. We get to talk a little more deep. Things I always ask. Most of the time I have a notebook and I'm writing things, So this time it was really fun because we got to eat. We got to be at the restaurant, and we got to connect. Always in the same way, but learning, and using this knowledge that he brings, and I can transform that knowledge. We were just talking about, it's really funny you made that question because we were just talking about this last night. We were here and we were just talking about how he brings a lot of the knowledge for a lot of people in the world, and about doing his own foundation of planting trees, thousands of trees. We know that, and I always like to tell this to the people who's in my channel because it's really important to know what he does. Not only the superfoods, the conference, the longevities, all these stuff, all this, that a lot of people, they get benefit, like a lot of knowledge, a lot of stuff that we can actually use day by day just to know what to eat and what not to eat and when not to eat. That's the most important thing because people think that they're gonna eat and you're gonna be super healthy just because you're eating all day. Guess what? Fasting is actually better than just eating, right? So I'm really happy and thankful that he's here. I've been squeezing him and just taking as much as a friend, not just talking about this is, and I got a good memory, so I like to always learn, from the best.
Yeah, we are going to do some events here together in Mexico, and actually right here in Cancun within the next year for sure, probably the next about 8 months.
Right.
So watch out for details on that, and those are great events because what we're going to be able to do there is take all the great foods. I'll talk about coconuts, I'll talk about avocados, I'll talk about chia seeds, I'll talk about hemp seeds, I'll talk about phycocyanin and spirulina and chlorella and goji berries and all the things that are right here in this ecosystem as well, and how that fits into what he does, which is you want to have all that the ideas of the nutrition behind it, but it's also got to taste good, it's got to be presentable, it's got to be a meal, it's got to be fun, and that's where he fits in, and he's gourmet in that respect, and that's what I love about what you do is not only are you gourmet, but you also bring all of that knowledge of nutrition, the extra little flowers in the recipes, in the pies in particular, and the desserts, that makes the thing just pop and gives it the real medicinal properties. One thing I do want to say also, and I was thinking about this when we were driving through Playa del Carmen today, is I was in Playa del Carmen 17 years ago, and I looked in a shop, and at the very back was a poncho sitting there, and I kept walking, and I turned around and said, no, that thing called me. Yeah. And the whole thing of me wearing ponchos like this all comes from here. That's where it started. I bought that poncho, I started wearing it, and it just became my look for the last almost 20 years. Yeah. And it started here. So I think it's a Mayan thing. The Mayan spirits were like, hey, get over here. This is the right thing for you. This area of the world, if you're new to this area of the world, the Mayan Riviera, perhaps the most beautiful area of the whole world. It's the Caribbean. It's mainland Mexico, so it has the resources, the gorgeousness of Mexico, but also the Mayan history. It's got an incredible climate here. It's pretty much even keel climate every single month of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, maybe it gets a little hotter in May and June, but the winds cool you off, and that's what we love about this. You just turn into the wind blows right through here and cools you right off. And what a great place to grow some of the world's greatest tropical foods.
All year round.
All year round. Avocados grow wildly here in these jungles. All kinds of edible plants, incredible medicinal plants, and the types of plants that you need are always around you. So going back to your original question of what do we do, avoid everything, every food that has a television commercial. Avoid all the foods that are in packages and go back to your original food. That's what you got to do. Go back to the original food that your ancestors ate and that's close to you. And this is the thing that Mexico gives to the world. Chocolate, guacamole, salsa, chilies, chili rellena, chia seed. This is the kind of food that is adored and loved worldwide.
Noni.
Noni,
this is the noni.
And coconut.
Coconut, yeah.
Unbelievable. Go back to that, because in that you will find infinite amounts of recipes, infinite amounts of combinations. He can show you in his restaurant the incredible things that they make out of all of those foods. I've been to these kinds of restaurants all over the world and seen completely different cuisines made out of the same foods. Yeah. Just coconut, what it could be made out of that. I was thinking today when we were swimming in the ocean at Tulum, looking back at the ruins and just looking at the situation. You got coconuts, I see medicinal trees there. We got everything we need to live. We got it all, there it is. So that's something really important, is going back to what's original, what's simple, and what's basically sacred. This stuff in packages is not sacred, the stuff that's been, God knows. Well, it's got chemicals in it. So it's, it's preservatives. So we did right there, it tells you something's wrong.
If it's processed, just go back to your roots. Go back of what's, you go to a supermarket and you don't go to those aisles where there's like all the packages and packages. You go to where the fruit and vegetables are, and that's it. You fill up your cart and you will pay same amount of money. If you go to any store, you pay for this amount of processed food, your cart will be filled with all kinds of fruit and vegetables for the same amount, or probably less. So in my class, I always enhance about that. I always say, just follow. It's the guide, or for me, the key. It's so easy to understand. It's just don't get anything that is processed. Nothing that been manipulated, in a package. It's different if you harvest chia seeds or flax seeds or hemp seeds, and you put it in the bag. Yeah. You put it in the bag. That's not processed. Yeah, to get it, So that's something that's really important, and it's so easy to understand.
Yeah, this way of life it's about getting back to basics, and there's so much food. I mean, this place is abundant.
Yeah,
it's abundant, and like you were saying earlier, we came back from an incredible day today, literally the best day ever. I mean, you mix gorgeous forests, brilliant skies, beloved family. We had my whole family with me today, ocean, and then you put that all together. That's going to equal the best day ever.
That's why we're doing an event in Cancun. And we're doing the private event in Tulum after. That's like, we talked about it, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to be first in Cancun.
Yeah. Then we'll sneak off down there and go, and probably even go deeper, because people want to keep going deeper and deeper. And this is all I've done for 25 years. So I've got a lot of information I love to share. And it's information. One of the things that I'm very much about is I don't just talk about the food. I might be the only nutritionist in the world who actually grows all the food that I'm talking about. I've grown it all, and I love growing the food because that gives you a different perspective. You understand cacao. When you've grown cacao for 10 years, you understand about cacao in the way that people don't understand about chocolate. When you've grown coconuts since I first went to Hawaii, 1997, that's how long we planted coconuts on my friend's farm. That's how long it started ago for me. You understand something about coconuts all these years later. See, that's the important part about participating. Instead of just eating it, sometimes it's good to get involved in fermenting the food. To get to simple is get to liquids and make it fast. That's what the whole NutriBullet thing really was invented in Mexico. The idea of a blender is invented in Mexico. It's invented right here, the molinillo, where you spin the hand blender into your chocolate frothed up drink to froth that up, and then you serve it. This is what led to the development of the blender and eventually to the NutriBullet. The idea of the NutriBullet is we're making it easy for people to get their fruits and vegetables in, and if they can, get the coconut water in and maybe one superfood. So this is something just the other day I sent some friends of mine, very intelligent people, but never thought about food. And so they're calling me up like, okay, I got the NutriBullet, now what do? I'm like, okay, take a handful of spinach, put it in there. Take a handful of berries, put it in there. Take one superfood, maybe it's hemp seed or chia seed, yeah. Put that in there, and then fill it up with, you got coconut water, like you have here, okay. If you don't, just fill it up with water and blend, and then get it going, and then drink it. It takes a minute, and you're getting all that nutrition, and then you can take that with you also, and that's a great way to start. So that's what I usually do with people, is just get them started like that. What's interesting is we hear all this stuff about 5 fruits and vegetables a day. 5 fruits and vegetables a day. You go to his restaurant, you're going to be having probably 9 vegetables in a day.
In one sitting.
In one sitting, in one plate. And the research shows that if you have 5 fruits and vegetables a day, you're healthier than if you had less. If you had 6, you're healthier than if you had less. If you had 7, you're healthier than if you had less. Up to 9 even. Most people we don't have enough research on people who eat more than 9 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. But the healthiest population in Europe eats 9 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, which with what we do becomes easy. But how do we make it real? And I think the blender is a great way, but also I think going to his restaurant's a really easy way too, because he's doing it for you.
And we've been eating a lot of food, right?
Oh man.
We brought some food. We were in Isla Mujeres yesterday. We drank some coconuts. We brought a bunch of kombuchas, and I think people ask me all the time. I'm sure like George did, right? How do we do it approachable to people? How do we do it easy? And I always go, get your blender, get your NutriBullet, get your whatever is gonna be easy for you. You can start with a blender that sits in your house until you break it, maybe after that second smoothie.
That's what we like to say, is just the best blender is the one that you already have that you're not using.
Yeah,
the best juicer is already in your cupboard, you're not been using it. Use that one until it breaks, then get a good one.
Exactly. Plus, you know what's gonna happen? It's gonna break like in maybe 3 days, but in 3 days you will feel the difference drinking smoothies and avoiding foods, because it takes 72 hours, 3 days, to digest and to eliminate a lot of the food that we already ate. Let's say vegan food even, breads or cookies or sugar, or food with meat or chicken and fish. It takes about at least 72 hours, 3 days to digest. So I will always recommend 2 smoothies, a little bit of fasting, 3 days. The 4th day, even if you broke your blender or your mom's blender, which is gonna happen because it won't hold so much vegetables, it's good to break it. But in the 4th day, you'll be so convinced the way you feel, you'll be like, I'm gonna buy my own blender. I don't care if I'm 19, 20, 21 years old. Instead of buying a video game or instead of going to the movies, today I'm buying my blender. Why? Because I'm gonna feel like this tomorrow, and the 6th day, and the 7th day. And guess what? I'm 42.
What I gotta say about Miguel is his stuff is incredible because he lives it. He loves it. He wants to be there. Look at him right now. He came dressed like this, brought us all this food straight from work right over to here, just like I love it. Like, I've been out all day with family, 4-5 hours of driving,
with your poncho,
with the poncho, in the rain, in the ocean, in the sacred sites, in the jungle, picking wild food, teasing iguanas. But because I love sharing this information so much, for me it's just brand new right now. It's like reset. This is what I'm here to do. That's what I love. But this is what this guy loves. he loves educating about food and he lives it every day. So you can really learn from someone like that. I've found out through the years that people don't want to learn from somebody who goes, well, we're gonna put this little onion in here. It's about passion, information, inspiration.
Yeah, when you're inspiration, that means that you're in with your spirit.
Yeah. So thanks. I'm David Avocado Wolfe.
I'm Miguel Bautista, executive chef of Vegan Planet in Cancun, Mexico, and soon, pretty soon, in Tulum, Mexico. Thank you.
Thank you.